Hello there, I'm Michael, and this is Michael Howe Arts. Welcome back to the channel. Today's video is me designing and drawing two new characters. I have always liked character design and have been wanting to get back into that. Also, I've been feeling the urge to have my own characters that I can get into and keep playing with and draw over and over and tell stories with. So that's one of the reasons why I'm doing this. Now, there are a ton of people who do character design videos and different challenges. The specific inspiration for this video was Starfish Face's videos, where she will roll or have some other method of generating characters, and she'll design them, but she'll also be talking about their personalities, and then at the end she'll even talk about how the different characters will interact with each other. She doesn't just make characters and leave them nowhere. It's oh, this character interacts with this character, they get along or they clash, or this is their interactions, and that really appealed to me. I will link to one of her videos down below. She has a great channel. Go check it out. So I've been wanting to practice character interactions and storytelling, so I figured I would do what she does and then also include art of those character interactions. Show a moment of the characters interacting. She created a couple grids of character building stuff from D&D, so I just borrowed hers. So let's get into it. Here are those tables of what to roll for that I got from the Starfish Face. I just compiled those and rolled the dice. And for character one, I rolled human, ranger, outlander, so someone who lives out in the wilds, female, and orange. Knowing I was going to be doing that, I began sketching out some basic figures that I repeated and began sketching silhouettes onto, thinking of desert clothes, desert people, because orange to me immediately spoke of sand. I was trying to shake up the people with each one. I would do one that was short and one that was tall, and it'd be okay, on the last one I gave them this type of silhouette, so maybe on the next one I do something different. Or it's oh, I did that and I like that, so the one before this I was doing spikes, so I made sure this one had lots and lots of spikes. But then skipping one for some reason, going and adding just little details, trying out different things with the staff, trying more armor patterns. And again, this is all to just see what from almost no detail looks cool. To be a cool silhouette, maybe give hints of what the character is and what they're about. And then I know some character designers won't even add those little erased parts, but I like having them with the silhouette so that I see ideas of what the character would be to make it more than just silhouette. And then here was a couple others that I was trying to design that would maybe incorporate elements from a few that I liked. And then I put them up at the top and it's part of the list of everything else. Quick attempted figure sketch, but that didn't go where I wanted it to, so in a moment you'll see it switch over to being a completely different figure. Yep, there we go. I went with a very basic pose that I could just draw the figure, so that I could draw the clothes on top of. Here I'm editing the colors, and because something about how my mind works, if I see the different colors and the different parts of the body separated out like this, it could sometimes make it easier for me to know the angles and the form that I'm drawing on top of. So once I do that, I'll go in and start adding in just blocks of shape for the clothes with a little bit of drawing to establish parts of them. It's okay, it should be like that. So this is still very basic, trying to see if the parts read, if the costume looks kind of cool. I was doing it in this orangish color. I realized later on that I didn't at all really think of value. All I was doing with this was showing separation of things to show it's like, oh, that's a different piece of fabric or clothing. But I didn't follow it as like that's what the values are. And maybe I was thinking of values at the time, but I ended up like not going with it simply as those. I shook it up. So you see little details changing, adding. It's like, oh, does this look cool? Do I need to have more details, less details there? How about the hair? Is she gonna have a full parka uniform type thing, or have a cape? And I liked having the cape look. Now, for this character who ended up being named Kara, I decided that she has a lot of beads and trinkets, so she likes collecting. My thought was having to live in the desert and do rationing, she would be very disciplined. And, she knows how to track animals and people well too. She can be disciplined and like focus in on what she needs to find and see and follow. She also, because it's the desert and the wind can blow sand and it can knock things out of view or out of existence under sand really quick, she has to be able to notice details quickly. So she's got this really fine tuned tracking sense where it's like, notice something, see what it's about before it goes away. And I was trying to think of ways that might tie into her personality. So she's like a deep thinker, but like a very sped up mind. Oh, right there on the drawing, I was considering like a couple little, oh, what's the word? Anyway, clasps. That's the word. Clasps that look like lizard scales. And they decided not to go against it. I kind of like the look of just fabric wrapping around and layering on top of itself. Also, even though she is disciplined to life in the desert and knows how to ration herself, she also knows how to party, if there's enough to go around. Like she won't gorge herself for being a glutton or anything. But, if there's food and plenty for everyone, she can have a good time. Also, unlike other rangers, she doesn't have her own animal companion. She can communicate with lots of animals, and she's especially friendly with lizards. That was what was in my mind a lot as a desert animal. And in fact, I, for this belt clasp, used kind of like lizards or dragons to make those. I really like the design on that belt. I don't know how practical it is, but I do like the look of it. I thought it came together cool. Another part of Kara's personality is that she's very quiet often. She's not necessarily like, I'm intentionally being quiet for the purposes of hiding or tracking, though she obviously knows how to do that. But she just has a patient quality. She's willing to sit there and observe and just pay attention to what's going on. There's a little bit of a bracelet. And then here I get into making her one of her little collections of items. At first I was thinking of like stones or shells, and I keep some of those, but I was also thinking of like different types of beads. I tried to not put like too much thought into it. Like I don't know what significance these items have to her, and whether it's that they're just pretty or if she collects something, after an event in her life. Although that's kind of a fun idea. Maybe that's what she does. Just doing little rocks and spherical shapes, and then trying to make sure they all look like they're 3D on their cord. For her footwear, I was thinking that they should be something a little like snowshoes, where there's a greater surface area. and I thought of having them look like a little bit like lizard feet. She has little hints of lizard stuff in certainly what I was thinking of for her costume. So I made sure to give them like a little bit of wide toe shapes. Going in, adding little shadows and thicker lines, trying to make sure that all the forms stand out in the amounts that I want. Where it's like that part pops, that part doesn't. This part has a shadow to show that it's deeper in. Now, this thing on her wrist, when I was doing the thumbnails, I liked putting something there, and I had thought that maybe she has kind of like a blow dart launcher on her wrist, like even has different tubes so that she has different darts that she can pick from. But then I realized that the position you'd have to be to blow into that, at least like I was thinking, would be like absurd and probably impossible, and you might have to like launch off to the side. So I don't think it's a blowgun. I don't know what it is. I like her having something there. And sometimes that's what I do with designs is like, that looks cool to have something. So I might shake that up. Or I was thinking about this earlier. Maybe she has like a tube that she could blow into, like in her mask, and it'll launch out of her wrist. So it would be very different positioning that I was thinking of. But that could work. And I feel like from outside, she would almost just look like Buzz Lightyear. She raises her arm and then a dart comes out, because if she's blowing into a tube that's behind her mask, you wouldn't even necessarily see that she's going to do that. So I might go with that. I kind of like that idea. It also struck me as interesting that I never actually figured out what her face looks like. Normally, I'll do at least something. Although, often with knights, I don't. Like, if knights have helmets, I don't always figure out their faces. And then here on her staff, I was thinking that there would be a bit of a flared base, again, so that there's a little bit more surface area, so that if she sticks it into, sand, it'll help hold up just that tiny bit more. And then I made the other end kind of like a shepherd's crook. I had experimented with different shapes, and I liked one like that. But I think in the thumbnails, I'd thought more of it as a blade, but I liked having it be simply a stick that has this shape, but that shape could be used for like various things, kind of like a shepherd's crook, without being exactly one. Like stuff that I wouldn't know what she would use it for at this point, but it has all these uses that I'm sure I could be imaginative of. Here we're at the part where I'm drawing her face, trying to space and size it out, and then erase where it's under the mask. Right there, I realized that I thought the face looked too small, so I brought in the basic thumbnail of her body proportions and then sized the eyes and face to more what the body looked like under the clothes. And sometimes when I look at her in the finished drawing, I still think her eyes or face look a little small to everything else, but I'm not going to worry about it. She might have distinct proportions. Here I was selecting and filling the area around her so that I could just get a nice clean color there to have her all filled in, and then color with locked transparency so that I don't color outside the lines. I'm trying variations on the orange theme. And like I was saying earlier, it's like I'm not sure. I hadn't quite exactly figured out what the values were or what the colors were going to be. Oh, I did give her orange hair. That was something I'd done in the original concept idea is like it'd be kind of fun if she had orange hair. So I spent a lot of time like just selecting out and coloring the different parts, but you'll see that as I go, I'll be like adjusting what the colors are. It's like, well, I know this cloak is probably a separate color, but what's the color? I don't know. I was definitely thinking of deserty colors rather than anything very bright. I liked the idea of her being able to just kind of like camouflage into the sand or a rocky patch, and then having like the little shapes and details to break it up. And then so that it wasn't all one color, I gave her a couple little bits that are blue. to hint at like what parts of her culture might be apart from just desert. I don't know what they signify at this point, but I thought it was nice to have like a couple little pops of color, and those actually match her eyes so that it's all a little more tied together. Then I went in and added an overlay layer of a different color to try to tie everything together. Then I added in a quick little design element behind her, and there's the finished one. Kara the Ranger. For character 2, I rolled up a non-binary half-orc sorcerer with the urchin background and needing to have the primary color of teal. Now for this character, I actually didn't do the same sort of thumbnailing that I did for the first character. I just did these 3 sketches and chose to go with the third one. Now, in addition to the thumbnailing being different for this character, I also sketched them out differently. I found a few poses that I liked, both the pose and the energy of, and then was just drawing and combining those with line, with much less shape than I was doing for the other one. Adjusting those, sketching in like the gesture. For this character, it seemed like the gesture was very important. For the sorcery, I was thinking magic. With the thumbnail of the costume, I had pictured that with the urchin background, they were originally very poor, and so they're very careful with money, and they don't even buy themselves multiple sets of clothes. They have this one set, maybe a couple others, but sets of nice clothes, and then they just use their magic to clean them. And with a magic character, I liked the idea of like a very flamboyant, expressive energy and pose. Honestly, you'll see when I get to the end, I forgot to actually add in any magic to the illustration, so I kind of feel like they present almost as a bard. People might not even realize they have magic, and so it's like, oh yeah, they're the spokesman, they're the magician, or the the singer, charismatic person, and that's the most they do. It's like, no, they're a full-blown sorcerer. So I think that'll be part of their character. I came around to the name Marin for the sorcerer. So my thought is Marin is kind of a very jovial person, very out there as far as like be, they'll you'll know they're there when they walk into a room, but you might not know like what they're capable of. Also, let's see, what else did I write down about them? Oh yeah, so they're big on saving money. Like they, if they see something that seems really important or necessary, they'll purchase for it. But they like to make sure to be very careful with the money and make a budget. They plan everything out. It's like, oh, okay, we'll have this many expenses this week. So they know what's going on with their own money and with the money of whatever party they're with. Also, because they're so cheerful, they're like almost weirdly so. They get this huge grin sometimes that's just like almost disturbing and off-putting. People are a little confused by the energy they give off. I tried to make it so the clothes were very dramatic. I liked having the triangles for like an energetic character. And then I was thinking of like elements of like circus, like ringmasters. And I had taken that first original sketch and just kind of third original sketch and just kind of ran with trying to make it so it all worked and fit together and was like decently proportioned. So again, very different from the first one where I had like 20 different options to pick from. It was like, number 3. This is what we go with. These triangles and lines are cool to me because they came about in an interesting way. I saw some falcon wings. There was a really nice photo of a falcon like perched on a branch or something, and their wings were showing really nice, and you could see like these very angular segmented color pattern on it. And so I took what that looked like and converted it to like the very triangular shape language of the rest of it and put them on there. I think it's a bit much to have for like a character if I redraw the character over and over and over. But for a top level design, I think it's good. My thought is that it can be good with a design to have one where it's like, oh, this is for the movie or the video game, or the really in-depth one that a cosplayer might want. So there's lots of cool details and elements in it. But it's also good to have a simpler version. Like, this is the version for movies or video game design. Whereas you also need one if, like me, you want to make comics or, draw your character over and over, where it's like more of a simple version or a classically animated character where there's like less details. So it's like you'd still have the vibes. And you see that with adaptations of things where you'll see a character with like tons of detail, and then if it's made by different people or for someone else, it looks a little different. Yes, hands. Hands are a pain. I don't even know that I got them fully right, but I was trying to make sure to push them just a little farther on looking good for the gestural pose I had. And at this point, I did the same beginning of coloring that I did for Kara. I isolated the figure so that I could fill it with a solid color and then just begin adjusting within that. Now, with Marin being a half orc, I wanted them to be a bit green. I could have gone with a different color, I suppose, but then there was the teal that I had rolled. So I looked up a couple different palettes online that involved teal and green and was using those for inspiration. Honestly, I found it really, really tricky to try to get the colors to work together well. I'm not even sure at the end of this that I got it right, but you live and learn. The part of this exercise was to practice character design and get a video out. So I did what I could, and we'll see how things change and improve in the future. I noticed that I did like the colors on them almost like better without the line work. So I might need to find a way to have like less detail or see why the colors work differently. It might be the bunching of the ink in the line work. Now for the background, I wanted a similar, just simple design element like I did with the first character, but have it be different. Also, Marin's pose seemed that much more energetic that it felt like it needed something different. It looked like something was happening rather than just walking through a desert. So I started with like kind of like ideas that were like, maybe this is a door being thrown open, maybe it's a window, maybe it's part of a building. And you'll see that I go and make lots of variations on that, trying to decide what would be something that looked good. Like I kind of liked it, but it also didn't feel right. So I was just adjusting the values because I wanted the composition to read clearly. And then I was trying like different things of like maybe they're walking through a door. This almost feels like a runway type pose. So maybe they're stepping through doors. And I'm adjusting like different parts of the coloring as I go there too. Making certain things brighter, other things darker, adjusting their saturation so that they, pop or don't in different amounts. And then I eventually switched it up and went with like a triangle for the graphic element, because triangles have more energy, and I thought just having more energy for them fit better. There's the final drawing of Mara and the Sorcerer. Finally, I wanted to draw the two characters interacting. I've been wanting to get better at storytelling and character interaction for a bit, so the best thing to do is to practice that. So I was trying to decide what the interaction would be about. My initial thought would be it would be about money, money, because both of the things about their personalities I had come up with were kind of about possessions, like collecting and saving money. So I actually was rolling on an oracle table with like answers of yes, yes, and no, no, and no, but all those things. And I, asked the dice, was it about the money? And the answer was yes, but. And I was like, yes, but what? So I was like, oh, it's not the way you think. So I was expecting it to be their spending habits, but then I was like, well, maybe it's about the different ways they feel it's okay to loot a body or whether to steal from somebody. And then I was like, oh, wait, but what if they were stolen from? How would they react to their money getting stolen? So I figured that Kara would be calm, but have this really burning, righteous indignation. She's from desert culture, and deserts are often very much, there's scarcer resources. And so, if you steal from someone, you're almost more likely to harm them. Like, you're likely to harm someone anywhere by stealing from them if they don't have enough. But it seems that, like, my thought was, like, in a desert, it's even more strict a response to it. But then Marin would be freaking out. They are trying to solve the financial issues, making, because the budget, they budget everything. They have a plan for how it all goes. And all of a sudden, oh, we lost money. How much money do we lose? Where'd it go? How are we going to handle this? So I have them like counting on their fingers, acting panicked. And Kara is like, no, it's okay. It's okay. I'm going to go kill this person. But, don't worry about it. Don't stress out. So I was really happy with doing this part of the whole project. It was really fun to draw the characters acting and like doing something rather than just, standing there looking cool and fun. And the interaction, it's nice. It's like much more of a story just from figuring out how they might be interacting in this one scene. And it made them feel so much more alive. Oh, there's the cool belt again. So this part was super fun. I did a little bit of like trying to see what parts could be drawn a little simpler. And I was, not taking a long time with this one. It was very quick, here's their poses, here's what they're doing. I tried to make sure to get the faces and the poses to be expressive, and then get the costumes right, but not focused a ton on the detail. So there's drawing in some trinkets, but just as like little spheres. Then did super quick color with their base colors, tightened that up, and then I wrote in a couple lines of dialogue to help tell the story. All right, that is it for this video. Thank you for being here. If you have a favorite of these characters, please let me know down in the comments which they are, or if you had any ideas for other ways they might interact. Please don't forget to like and subscribe. I really appreciate you all, and I'll see you next time.